Tender for the Czechs, Thomas Vokun. He came on when Milan Nelichka suffered, just as the reverse had happened earlier. Dominik Hasek injured in game one, the preliminaries against Germany. He was the great Czech hope in this one.
And Yevgeny Nabokov, who plays for the San Jose Sharks, will again start for Team Russia. You see his record. The only loss was last night in a very important game as their team was shut down by the Finns.
Vladimir Krikinov, his last time as Olympic coach. He will coach Russia at the World Championships in May in Latvia. That will be it. He will still coach Moscow Dynamo, but it's an awful lot to do when you have two jobs.
Alois Hadamček will be the head coach once again for this Czech Republic hockey club. This is his first ever Olympic experience. Twice he has coached the Czech World Junior team, once to a bronze in 2004. And there's a player back in the lineup. Yevgeny Malkin, number 18. He's a big hulking centerman, was suspended, did not play in the game last night. He was suspended for kicking towards Vinny Lecavalier of Team Canada. We reviewed the tape. I don't think it was a fair call. I don't think he deserved a suspension.
Well, they sure missed him. Jaroslav Spacek and Pavel Kubina begin for the white-shirted Czechs in this game. Jan Bulis, Milan Hajduk, and Vinny Prospal up front. Hadamček has changed all of his offensive lines up. Now back comes Kovalchuk, and a shot deflected just wide as Kubina back on defense sees it tapped on by Spacek to Hajduk. Datsuk, Kovalchuk, and Kovalev, the starting line for the Russians. Back on with it is Prospal, and the shot is deflected in front, hopped off the stick of Bulis, then off the stick of Hajduk, who was near the front of the net. Back on now comes Alex Kovalev, dropping it back, controlled by Kovalchuk to the outside. He goes down. There'll be a penalty coming up to Marek Zidlitsky, and the power play for Russia will get the first chance.
And you see the motion of the hooking call as Zidlitsky will go. A wide open start to this game. I think we're going to see this type of game all the way through. Stick into the midsection. It's a second little hook. As you see, Kovalchuk was trying to find a shooting lane, trying to get open on Zidlitsky to take the shot. Twice the stick into the chest. The second one was called. First power play to Team Russia. There's no Finnish game, no Finland playing, Mike. So we're not seeing that really defensive styled hockey that they employ. We're going to have more of an offensive game here.
Well, Ovechkin has this to see if he can generate something on the power play. Neither of these teams did well in the power play. The power of Russia, and only 5 power play goals in 44 opportunities. Puck played by a high stick will go back to center. Thomas Anderson of Sweden is the referee tonight. Joachim Karlsson of Sweden and Steve Miller from the NHL and Canada are the linesmen in this one. And Paul Dvorsky gets to work the gold medal game. Congratulations to him. That will be tomorrow.
In Salt Lake City was Bill McCreary of the NHL that had the gold medal game. Did a great job, and I'm sure Dvorsky will too. He's a terrific NHL referee.
Dan Maruelli and Don Van Massenhoven got the semifinal games yesterday. And it is cleared back down. Czech's power play was not really that good in the early games of the tournament either. This is game number 8. The Czechs with 6 power play goals and the Russians with 5. Ovechkin's pass flagged down by Viktor Kozlov, but knifed away from him. David Baborny shoves it back across. Martin Erat trying to get further. Erat for the Czech Republic just gliding around behind and helping kill off the penalty by skating to center halfway through the kill.
Well, the younger players, Vaborny and Erat, have had a great tournament for the Czechs. They have provided a ton of energy. 8 games and 11 nights for these two teams.
Here's Malkin crossing, but the puck rolled off his stick. Meanwhile, it settled down and started right back ahead by Vinny Prospal. Tampa Bay Lightning player angles back across for Jan Bulis of the Montreal Canadiens, but turning with it is Sergei Zhukov. Laid back across. Karatanov's pass is turned back to him. Tried to chip it on the wing. Zhukov a shot and a bullet that went wide. Maxim Shushinsky, but that toss to the front. Follow up right back to Shushinsky again. Andrei Markov a shot. Save made in front by Vokun. Oh, what a shot by Markov. Now Malkin right back to him again. Save by Vokun. Rebound again, and Vokun just getting back to his feet. 2 good opportunities there.
But great saves by Vokun. Plays for the Nashville Predators. Has had a very rough tournament. However, he's a world-class goaltender. To see him play well early here, he's showing confidence for his hockey club early. They did not get goaltending that was good last night early from Nelichka. So hopefully for the Czechs, Vokun will play well all the way through.
2 shots on goal on that Russian power play. Oh, and a chance in front, and Vokun with a terrific stop that time. As near the front of the net was Ivan Naprayev. Meanwhile, back with this, dipping the shoulder but losing his Straka. It's wiped out and turned right back to center ice, and so once more it can be controlled, and this is František Kaberle. Defense combinations have been changed around for the Czechs as well. This bounces off Straka. Jaromir Jagr's line is not the same as it was before. It is entirely a New York Ranger line. He is not out there right now. František Kaberle lays it back across. Drifting further now is Marty Straka. Then Erat collides with Vaborny.
Syanek not in the lineup for the Czechs. He's had a solid tournament for them. He plays for the St. Louis Blues, and we don't know why. We're trying to find out, but not in the lineup tonight.
So they are short one player in terms of the many that you're allowed to dress are 20 skaters and 2 goaltenders for each game. Let's call in Joe Micheletti.
All right, JD, talking about Peter Syanek, I just got information on him. The reason that he is not playing, he's been suffering from tendinitis in his right hand, not underneath, but on top of the hand, which has made it very difficult for him to squeeze the stick. He re-injured it last game, and just too sore for him to play in this one.
But when you consider injuries, Pavel Datsyuk has another injury that makes it hard to squeeze the stick. He's got a broken pinky finger on one hand.
And he was injured in game 2 of this tournament. That's a long time ago when you think of how many games have been played, yet he hasn't missed a shift.
Here is Vaborny fighting his way free. Got it back. Zidlitzky a shot. And that one was blocked away by Fedor Tutin of the New York Rangers. Played back along by Martin Erat of the Nashville Predators for the Czech Republic. Able to swing it back. Zidlitzky moving in. Set one side of the net off Vaborny. Penalty coming up against Russia. Right back to Vaborny again. Feeds Erat a shot. They score! Erat! 1-0 Czech Republic.
A big goal as Erat gets his first point of the tournament, and he deserves it for the way he's been working. There was going to be a penalty call against the Russian hockey club as Ovechkin tripped him up. Now the puck is on a delayed penalty. Good pass in front by Vaborny, and that shot was perfect up under the crossbar and inside the goalpost through traffic. Gorgeous shot. 1-0 in favor of the Czechs.
They score on shot number 1 in the game. Vaborny and Robert Lang get the assists. The Russian Federation has had 3 shots already, and Tomas Vokun got all 3 of those.
Erat plays for the Nashville Predators, as does the goaltender for the Czechs in this game. So the Czechs have had a better start. They lost last night. The Swedes scored in the first minute of the game against them, and the Czechs never got it going. Here, they had to kill a penalty, did a good job, and now have scored a goal.
How do you sense the mood of the teams in going for what is, in hockey terms, a consolation prize? In Olympic terms, it is a bronze.
Look at the Russian bench right now. They're all standing up over there. The Czechs have 5 or 6 players standing up. Talking to them prior to the game, and there's another penalty coming up. Prior to the game, they were down because they lost last night. However, you talk to Nemchinov and Bore, the management team for the Russians, a bronze, a medal of any kind means something. Talking to some of the Czech players, they said the same thing, right, Pierre?
Absolutely, John. In fact, Alexander Ovechkin stepped up to me before the game and he said, listen, this is very important for us as a hockey nation. Our young players want to step up and deliver for guys like Sergei Nemchinov and Pavel Bure. And he said, Alexei Kovalev had a very inspirational speech before the game to the players. So these guys are ready to go. They want to win a bronze medal. It might be a consolation prize for some people. For these guys, it means something.
Penalty called to the Czech Republic, a high sticking call that was whistled on Ales Hemsky. Power play on, and here is Tutin waiting and driving one that deflected in front. Oh, and it was attempted by Kovalchuk at the side of the net, but he couldn't get it home. 2 players without sticks, and they're able to finally clear back out. Zidlitzky retrieves his and then realizes it's broken, so he comes to the bench.
And no Ovechkin, he's on the Russian bench having his left hand looked at. There's something wrong, and they're either taping it right now or putting ice on it or something. That looks like tape job above the hand towards the wrist. He could not start the power play. He wants to get, look how quick he wants. Look, he's out there now. This kid is something else, so he gets a chance to go to work on the power play for this Russian team.
He and his team trail in the game 1-0 on Erat's goal on the first shot taken by the Czech Republic but a rocket it was, just under the crossbar at 4:48. Still a minute 10 left on the kill to the Czech Republic. That's sent by Filip Kuba from the Minnesota Wild, number 17, the Czech defenseman. Straka tries to clear it out. That failed, and it's sent back down, eventually to be retrieved by Sergei Gonchar of the Pittsburgh Penguins. NHL resumes on Tuesday with half a dozen games. More on Wednesday. Everybody's back in action by Thursday. This one chipped back around. It skipped by. Viktor Kozlov taken back on by Erat again. Moving out with David Vaborny of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Erat threw one that went over the side glass and into the stands.
It's a big rivalry, you know. Nashville and Columbus, and the two kids, Vaborny and Erat, on the same line. You're looking at Thomas Vokoun, a tremendous goaltender. Mitch Korn is his goalie coach, and they actually take Vokoun and they actually look at every save he makes, whether or not the other team gets control of the puck after he makes a save. They call it a retention number. He is a marvelous, marvelous goaltender, and a lot of people hoping that he has a big game here.
Here's Malkin, a shot, and that deflected wide, as getting a skate on that one was Thomas Kaberle. Sent to the outside now. Shushinsky has it there for Russia. Down to the last 17 of the power play. Shushinsky at the boards. Then Andrei Markov lost it to center, turned it back into Erat, and they have to drop back further.
This is an all-Russian league line. Shushinsky, Karatonov, and Malkin. They play together in the Russian league.
Centering pass on, it went underneath Malkin and back out to center.
And Mike, they did not start the tournament together. They had a different centerman, and then the coach after the first game changed, put Malkin with the guys just because they know each other so well.
Breezing on and letting a hard shot go was Kotelik out of Buffalo, and it is held in goal as we check in Joe Micheletti.
Okay, Doc, thanks very much. JD, talking about Vokoun, the goaltender, Barry Trotz, who's the head coach of Nashville, told me that if the goaltenders in the National Hockey League were able to wear the C, as signifies the captain, he would be wearing it. They said he's just like Marty Brodeur. He gets on the ice in practice, doesn't want to get scored on, and does nothing but work to get better.
Well, if they go over every save, a feet in front, chip back, and a Afinogenov starts it ahead, it'd be a wonderful night for the video coach if he only stopped 14, because there wouldn't be much to look at. Prospel throws one in front that's off his shoulder. Pivoting as Jan Bulis drops it off to Prospel. Good crunch put on him, though. And it is laid back ahead. Tipped on out to center. Hustling to it. Bringing it back on now is Afinogenov with a drive. Oh, and it went off the post. And ricochets back to center. Close call there.
Kotelik for the Czechs gets a good shot. He plays in Buffalo, and back comes Afinogenov hitting the post. And guess where he plays? Buffalo. That's one reason why Buffalo's pretty good this season.
That's right. Around it comes to Vokoun. Frantisek Kaberle of the Carolina Hurricanes lobbed it back. Some trouble caused there, so they have to help it back to him again. Looks on for Rushinsky now. He and Yager and Straka are out for the Czech Republic. Knifed away. Good play on defense. And it's tapped back ahead off of Straka. They try to follow through the traffic, and it has to be settled down by the Markovs. Laid back ahead too far for Pavel Datsyuk, and icing is called midway in the first period. The Czech Republic ahead 1-0.
Well, we had an odd man rush in favor of Team Russia. Afinogenov gets the shot from behind the net. There's the Kasparaitis pass and a chip play into the middle. That trapped the defenseman, and Afinogenov knew he was being closed off. So he took the shot, and it hit the outside of the goal post.
We are nearing the halfway point of the game, and there's one name that I don't recall calling yet, and that is Darius Kasparaitis.
He made the pass out of the zone, which led to that last rush by Afinogenov. One player to me, though, Mike, that hasn't touched the puck much is Datsyuk.
Just that last time when he went down and really wasn't able to touch for the icing. No, you're right.
No, he hasn't touched it much, not yet anyway. He was very active last night. Remember, he does have a very sore hand with a fractured pinky.
Kasparaitis has made his presence known. Took a penalty earlier. In terms of being out on a regular defensive tour, I hadn't noticed him, but John usually does in cases like that, because the guy's clever, and he also hits. We haven't noticed that, but we did notice the penalty now, as Vaborny moves in and shoots one, and that one blocked off, and then centered in front, and Nabokov saw his defense come up big there. Started back out by Alex Kovalev. Has a man breaking Karatonov, but it's offside.
Kovalev made the extra move right at the blue line, and the captain put his team offside. Big save by Nabokov. And again, It appears to be the young guys, at least early here, for the Czech team that are doing a great job. Fake shot by Vaborny, and then to the outside, and Nabokov just moved across and took away the shot. But the young kids playing for this Czech team, the Vabornys and the Erads and the Hemskys, Olish, they've got a lot of energy for this bronze medal game.
Tip back along to center. Twisted on by Spacek. Circling and laying it back ahead. It went off the stick of Rastislav Olesh. Angled back ahead as far as Spacek again, but that one picked up by Yashin, though left behind. Tight checking his center. Brought right back in by Olesh again. From the Florida Panthers, cleared it around behind. Now, Darius Kasparaitis took that hard shot in yesterday's game. How did he come out of that?
He has a pretty sizable cut to the chin, below his lower lip, above the chin, actually.
Bulis fed one across, went by Prospel on back to Zidlitsky.
And he's got another one on the forehead, Mike, but he's no problems. He says it kind of scared him. He didn't know how serious it was at first, but ready to go again, full of all kinds of energy.
And he hands it ahead now. It's brought back on by Karatanov, trying to get by. He is hooked off, and there'll be a power play coming up to the Russians again.
Now, you called it. He is hooked off. So the All-Russian League line gets out on the ice, and they draw a power play for their club, and they will stay on the ice as a line to start the power play. Kasparaitis goes over and takes himself off. There you're going to see the call. There's Bulis on the back check, and he used the stick to do the work. Kasparaitis knows he's not a power play guy. He went right over to the bench and took himself off the ice and put Markov out there to play the power play. Smart move by Kasparaitis without the coach telling him to do it.
Struck by the puck yesterday and a high stick earlier here in the game. But it sure hasn't dented his sense of humor, has it? Way back across, Shushinsky up with it. Russians on the power play trying to tie this thing up. Comes on back now to Gonchar. Gave it back across once more. And a little toss in front is blocked off by Vokun from Malkin. Played to the outside now by Markov. Andrei Markov couldn't get it in deep. Instead, it's rifled back down by Philip Kuba.
Kovalchuk on the ice now. Kovalchuk is a power play shooter. He'll get himself into position for the shot.
Shushinsky there. Chipped it on back. Help came from Tutin. Fed right back off Shushinsky again. Spot check on him. Centering past Kovalchuk. Shushinsky onto the back. It comes to Tutin. Back to Shushinsky. Fires! Oh, and what a save. And then a cover. And then it's lost by Vokun. Played back off the wall and out again as Erad cleared it and heads for the bench.
Oh, big save there off the shoulder. And Vokun, his motto is be there and be square. Get to the position, be square to the man shooting the puck, and I'm telling you, it was perfect as the Russians are offside here. Vokun, remember, be there. In other words, get to the position where you need to be and be square to the shooter, not sideways like he was earlier in the tournament. Be there and be square. Watch what happens. He's out there, now he's there, and he's square. Here comes a shot. All it does is hit him in the shoulder. He fights it off. A terrific positional save as you see the shot from Shushinsky right off the shoulder. It was headed for the top corner.
Cleared back down, and once again Nabokov sets in a little bit of traffic generated by Olesh, but it's handed on back for control by Fedor Tutin. Brought back on by Datsuk. Pavel Datsuk surrounded. Got it over to Kovalchuk, and a rising shot got the glass. 12 left on the power play.
See the skill level of Datsuk, huh? What a gorgeous pass. And the Russians only had him here for the last 20 seconds of the power play. Boy, oh boy, if I was coaching him and down a goal, he'd start the power play.
Even with the bad finger.
Without question. Still a great playmaker.
Kovalev drifts around behind, then walked out in front and couldn't get the shot there as the stick was planed to the ice surface from Vokun. Brought on now by Prospel. Prospel cranks it back in. Springs back out, does the puck for a drive by Prospel that went off Datsuk and hopped up into the mesh. Let's check in with Pierre Maguire.
You know, one of the things you got to watch for with young players is their hockey instincts and their smarts. Evgeny Malkin, here's a perfect example. Watch how he tries to find dead area. Look at his stick positioning. Now he opens up for the one-timer. That's just a brilliant play by a big man who's only 20 years of age. But the thing about him, Mike, John, and Joe, his hockey sense and savvy makes him so special. There's a little example of it.
No, Pierre, he's listed at 6'3", 192. His legs, I think, are 6'3".
That's absolutely
he's
right.
bigger than what he's listed. He seems to, well, he's a growing kid, obviously, but he's a big, hulking guy. Imagine when he really fills out how strong he's going to be.
It'd be scary.
So they fudge the other way on the stats instead of inflating. Viktor Kozlov hustles after this one and gets there first, but it had just crossed the line for an icing.
Talking to Sergei Nemchinov prior to the game, they said if the Russian team was in the gold medal game, President Putin would have made the trip here to Italy to watch, but now they're just, well, not just, but they're playing for the bronze, and he really wanted to insist on the fact that any medal means something. It means a lot in the Olympics. When you're an NHL player and you lose in the finals, you're down. You've lost, even though if that was the Olympics, you'd win a silver. It's two different worlds. To win a medal is something special, even if you don't win the gold.
Yager escapes and shoots one, and that one went just across the net mouth wide. Nabokov may have gotten a piece of that with his pad, but at any rate, back to play it on defense for Russia is Anton Volchenkov of the Ottawa Senators. Got it on to Viktor Kozlov of the New Jersey Devils, who skipped one around behind. That's fired from the direction it came to Ruchinski. Lays it across to Yager.
Ovechkin hasn't had the puck very much in his first period.
Straka tried to finesse by. No luck there. Darius Kasparaitis brings it on. Holds and yanks a little pass onto Alexei Yashin. Yashin run off. Ovechkin is out there, number 8. Yashin turns and took a look in that direction. Worked on well by Ruchinski, and then it's sent on around to the point. Kasparaitis a shot, and that grabbed and held by Vokun.
Kasparaitis gets the shot on goal, and Ovechkin goes off the ice. When the Russians break out of their zone, actually, let me just tell you a quick one on Kasparaitis. His 4th Olympics. Originally, he's from Lithuania, but he played for the Soviet Union and the unified team, so he's allowed to play for Russia in the Olympics. This is game number 28. That sets a record. And it was one of his defensemen from New York, Fedor Tutin, reading it in a Russian newspaper. That sets the record for a Russian hockey player Olympic games played, 28 of them. Congratulations to him.
1992 was his first Olympics, so the first 8 games must have seemed like 25. Viktor Tikhonov was his coach, and that's not slamming Viktor, it's just that Viktor was a taskmaster.
Oh.
And Darius was very young. I'm sure at that time he still had the sense of humor, but you could lose it pretty fast. Here's Vaborny trying to sail it along to Erat. Viktor, by the way, is here, does not have a headset on, or he would be staring.
And Kasparaitis was 19 years of age then.
Oh, what a smear by Wisniewski. Meanwhile, it's thrown back on by Malkin, kept alive now by Kuba, and dropped back on, and it went sailing past Erat. To the last 4.5 minutes of the first period of this bronze medal game.
Shots are 8-3 in favor of Russia. 8-3.
Aided somewhat by power plays, but on that last power play, they got none. On the first one, 2, as Robert Lang shoots one that looked like it had gone out of play at the bench, and sure enough, it had.
Let's take a look at that hit you were talking about, Mike. As Vaborny is moving, and Wisniewski had him read. Vaborny actually ducked it a little bit, saw him coming, and Wisniewski's fortunate he didn't go flying over top and into the boards. He saw the freight train coming, and Wisniewski likes to throw the body.
Afinogenov couldn't dance away. Instead, it's brought back ahead, and a forehand shot went wide as Alesh Kotelik brought it in.
I think we've seen too many offsides. These teams should be sharper than that at the blue lines. Pierre.
John, you know what I was really impressed with this morning when you and Joe and I were visiting with the players was a passion of Fedor Tutin and how much this is going to help him. This Olympic experience is just going to make him a better NHL player. But you see how he just revered Darius Kasparaitis, and when he was telling you about that record, his eyes were as big as silver dollars. He was just so gunned up to play.
Yeah, he's 22 years of age, first year with the Rangers. He's considered a rookie, and he's one of those defensemen that doesn't play with a huge amount of emotion, but he plays smart, he plays strong, and he's learning the game. He was also saying that he wants his parents to come over from Russia to see him play in New York City, but one of his grandparents in their 80s is not doing well, so they don't want to leave. They want to stay and make sure they take care of the family, and that's part of life when you come from another part of the world to North America, whether it be Canada or the United States, to play professional sports. Sometimes you're away from your family, and it can be very tough on a younger player. But he's a terrific kid. And we were also looking at the bench, saw Ovechkin, that hand's bothering him.
Here's Datsyuk's shot and a save made by Vokun.
Where was Vokun? He was there and he was square. He was out, he read the play, there was no passing lane, nobody available to receive a pass, so Vokun moved out. And he's had a calm, smart start to this game as the Russians get their 9th shot on goal.
So grabbing the stick, Pavel Datsyuk to try and win it from Prospel. Off the tie-up, you can't control it with your feet. It has to be done with the stick in Olympic rules. Played back ahead now for Prospel. Little pass is chipped loose, but read by Jan Bulis. Left it behind, and then he is just sent flying by Kovalchuk. Kovalchuk could not get by Tomas Kaberle. It's floated on back and carried on by Andrei Markov. He gains the zone. Markov with a shot that is carefully held by Vokun.
And that's 10. Kovalchuk hasn't had any offensive chances here, at least not many good ones, but he's been taking the body twice on this last shift. One in behind the goal net on Spacek, a real hard hit, and then one right here on Bulis. And so that's at least a way to get into the game. It forces turnovers and it gets you emotionally and physically into the game. I like a shift like that.
Drive by Teuton, and that one went wide. Battled for by Ruchinski. Left behind by Tomas Kaberle. A fin again off. Trying to worm his way in front. Shoved it out in front. Turnaround shot by Yashin is cut off by the defense.
And Ovechkin on the ice again. Let's see if he's able to handle a puck or take a shot. His left hand is really bothering him.
Third broken stick lying out there as Jágr comes by. Ovechkin tried to take it away, could not. Jágr played it ahead, and Ovechkin is able to circle with it and start back. Could not get by. Marty Straka came across and did the defensive number on him. Marek Zidlitsky hands it over to Tomas Kaberle. To the last 2 minutes and 45 seconds of the first period as Jágr gains the line to Ruchinski. A shot fought off by Nabokov. Another try and another by Jágr. Nabokov with 3 stops there. Frantisek Kaberle lobbed it back in and then was brushed into by a Finneganov. And it settled down back in the Russian
That's
zone.
what happens at this level when a rebound gets away from you. The original shot into the chest of Nabokov. He has a huge chest protector that he wears. And then Jágr was there twice working with the rebound.
Stepping by as Yevgeny Malkin tried to cross. No sail there. Frantisek Kaberle on defense. Erad turns. Oh, was he ever run by Kasparaitis. They shove at one another. Close quarters Malkin. Scaled it around behind. Shushinsky to play for Russia. Hit there, but it's turned back on for control by Malkin. Leaves for Shushinsky. Fed one in front. Deflected back across. Lobbed on behind. Shushinsky again. Out in front, a shot, and it went wide. Oh, what a screaming shot. Came from across the way by Alexander Karatanov. Now it's Lang right in front of his own goal. On to Vaborny. With a little over a minute and a half to go in the period. Pretty good action there. The shots are 10-5 in favor of Russia, and a penalty is coming up.
And Ovechkin went to the locker room. He went in with 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go in this period, and he was checking his left skate in the hallway. Plus, he's got the problem with the last hand. Now, here's with his left hand. This is the last shift that Ovechkin had prior to the hand injury that we saw him working on the bench. There, that hit by Zidlitsky jammed his hand. You could see it, and you could see how there that's the hit that bothered his left hand. It jammed his wrist. So he's got a skate problem and a problem with his left wrist and hand.
Offensive zone faceoff for the Czech Republic. Straka able to win it. Tomas Kaberle has it there. Looking is Jágr. Back to Kaberle. Zidlitsky. Marek Zidlitsky tapped it around behind. They have Ruchinski at the front. It's to Jágr on the outside. Has Kaberle and gives to him. Jágr, a one-timer, deflected up, and it hopped off the boards. Battled for it the front and knifed away from Straka. Jágr hit hard by Kovalev, and it's cleared back out. Pretty good crunching this period, isn't there? 52 seconds to go. Faking the drive is Tomas Kaberle. Then bounced it around Straka. Popped one off Andrei Markov, grabbed off by Jágr. Back to Straka again with Ruchinski in front. Straka fed one. Tomas Kaberle had to get better control of that. Zidlitsky. Jágr. Half a minute to go in the period. Back to Zidlitsky again. Someone will shoot. Zidlitsky. Maybe I'm wrong.
Don't bet on it.
Jágr. Now the shot was wide. came from Ruchinski, took a crazy bounce, and it was out of play at the Russian bench. The Russians disagree with 8 seconds left.
Shot by Ruchinski was like missing a 15-yard field goal. He absolutely missed the net. The puck went off the toe of his blade, and the Russians have done a nice job to this point killing the penalty with Gonchar in the penalty box. Still 43 seconds to go, and a line change for the Czech club. The faceoff's coming outside the zone now, Mike.
So the Russians doing the good job is why that power play was so deliberate.
Yeah,
pass.
I thought
no
Caverley had a couple of chances to shoot, and he didn't want to do it.
Spacek drove that one in and stopped by Nabokov. As the horn sounds, there'll be 35 seconds of carryover power play time for the Czech Republic into the second period, but they have the lead on that early goal. The first shot that they took went in as Martin Erat at 4:48 made this a 1-0 game.
Well, the two big guys, Jágr and Ovechkin, through the first period, very quiet, very quiet. A gorgeous shot by Erat, the only goal, and there you can see the Czechs talking over their power play strategy. They still have 35 seconds to work on it to begin the second period.
Shots on goal in the first. The Russians 10, the Czechs 6. 1-0 Czech Republic for the bronze medal. Passion lives here. So does stitches. So does frustration. Jim, Bill, and Ray back in the studio after these words. They coordinate their arrivals here. Sometimes they are side by side. And the Czech Republic now moves up to join the red-suited Russians. 1-0 Czech Republic. They will have still 35 seconds of a power play. 0 for 3 Russia on the power play. 7 scoring chances to 5, shots 10 to 6, face-offs little edge to the Czech Republic, hits 6 to 4, not too many, but you would expect 8th game in 11 days that they don't have a lot of energy left for big-time hits, especially when the score is as close as this one is. But it is 1-0 going into the second period, and Alexander Ovechkin is a concern.
He was involved in a collision with Zidlichki right there, and I think he jammed his left wrist. There he gave it a little bit of a wave, and then he got to the bench, had ice on it, and there you see having the wrist itself taped up. He came back for a shift there, tried a deflection, couldn't score, and then with 2 minutes 10 seconds left in that first period, he went to the locker room early. He also had a skate problem. We saw him stop in the hallway checking out the blade on his left skate, so we don't see him on the bench right now, and that's a tough loss for the Russian hockey club. If Ovechkin, who's just a dynamic hockey player, oh, here he comes. I'm just looking down the hallway now, and I see him, yes. So he's late, but he's there, and that's good news for the Russian club.
Russia shorthanded will kill with Datsuk and Kovalev. Meanwhile, across it is brought. Tomas Kaberle tried to get by Danny Markov. Andre swooped in on him. Andre Markov. Tomas Kaberle trying to play the point, then go around to Jágr. Good work by the Markovs, and it's brought ahead by Alex Kovalev. Taken away and started right back in by Marty Straka. Short, choppy strides, pivots away from Danny Markov and lays it on back to the point. It's given over to Zidlichki. Drive, and that deflected wide as Datsuk got in the way. Penalty time is up. Team's back at full strength. Gonchar out of the box, and the pass hopped off his stick. 2 shots on that power play for the Czech Republic, both of those in the last period. A bouncer went off Jágr's stick. He was offside, and so play again is stopped.
Ovechkin never was given credit, or at least no shots, as you see there, for the first period of play. So that's doing the job defensively on him, and it's also his responsibility to try to find some open ice. I find that he's just way too far up ice on the breakouts, and the Czechs are taking away the long pass. He's got to find a way to support his teammates coming out of the zone, take the puck, and then he can do some magic. Now there he's shaking his left skate blade again. There's something now. There's something bothering him. See, he's just taking a little skate there just to push off his left foot. His left skate blade. There's something with the boot and the blade that's driving him nuts right now.
Shuffled back around for Spacek. Rattled it further, and it is kept alive by Anton Volchenkov. His shot came back, another shot, and that one went over the outstretched glove of Okun. Ovechkin played it back along. Afinogenov rolled off that hit and keeps charging. Centered one, and it went off Yashin and hopped wide. Volchenkov back to Ovechkin. Touched it around behind, but through Afinogenov, who's taken out of the play, and there'll be a penalty coming up against the Czech Republic. Yashin a shot, turned aside by Okun.
Too many men on the A. Oh no, they have the goaltender off. My apologies. delayed penalty.
It looks suspicious there when you see one jumping over and getting involved in the play, but it'll be a shorthanded situation again for the Czech Republic.
And Bulis will go, his second penalty of this hockey game. There is the call. The stick around to Finneganov. He gets the call. Ovechkin tries a play in front of the net, trying to get loose. And watch what he does. He's just straightening out his equipment there. Seemed to be okay after that play.
At the bench now as a trigger pull shot is handled in front off of Datsuk by the defense and played back out where it's settled down by Andrei Markov and cranked right back in again by Datsuk. Lifted back out, so again. Russia on power play number 4. They have had 4 shots on their power play so far, still looking for their first goal in this bronze medal game. Centering pass in front, plenty of Czech protection there. And so they must drop back, and it's Datsuk back to play it for the Russians. The bronze medals will be given out after this game here tonight, and we will be covering that ceremony. Meanwhile, it is played back across off Karatanov. Circles and just lays it back in deep. Through Thomas Kaberle, stepping to it is Ruchinski, just impeded enough by Datsuk that it came to the half boards, brushed into Andrei Markov. Second effort, Datsuk battling, floated it back on. Shashinsky sealed up by Philip Kuba. Then touch back to the point. Andrei Markov with it there, to the outside to Datsuk again. Back to Andrei Markov, shovels to the side, Teuton tried to center, and that denied by Frantisek Kaberle. Twisted back by Datsuk, knifed on down for the clear back out again by Ruchinski. Half a minute left on the kill. 17 minutes to go, second period, bronze medal game. Martin Erat of the Nashville Predators in the Czech Republic has the game's only goal. No shots on this power play so far, maybe one here. Save Okun on a shot by Kovalev.
Oh, there are a couple of nice passes there. Gorgeous plays. Finally a shot by the Russian club on the power play. Just 2 gorgeous passes. There's one, and then there's a second. Quick wrist shot. Vokun was there waiting for it. When he's on top of his game, it looks simple for him. He was there and made a nice save on the Kovalov shot. The pass from Malkin and Kovalchuk before that, those 2 passes were beautiful.
Malkin chased out of the draw. It's one cleanly back to Gonchar. Wrist shot deflected into the chest of Vokun, and he hangs on.
A little battle here, Malkin and Kubina. As they get their chests up against each other. Malkin throwing out. Kovalchuk went in there and won the draw. I think Kovalchuk's played pretty well. And then with the point shot, it was deflected, I think, by Malkin in front of the net, right into the goaltender Vokun, who was there calmly waiting for it again.
Barehanded give of the puck back to the linesman for this drop. Spot check, flipped it along. It's chopped right. Oh my, what a hit. And that'll be penalized.
Oh. Kovalchuk, he has played a nasty game. He has been taking the body, and this time Kubina is still down. He plays in Tampa Bay. What a hard hit. The referee has not skated to the box to give the amount of the penalty. Oh, baby, did he get hit. The puck had been played. Let's watch and see what happens here. He played the puck, turned around, and boom, he exploded. Looked like the right elbow was there, too. Pierre.
John, just before that, on that last sequence, remember it was Kubina that challenged Malkin in the slot, and Kovalchuk skated right up to him and basically told him, look out, big boy, I'm going to drop a hammer on you. And that's what he did.
There's some blood on the ice, so with the shot to the head, it may be more than 2 minutes. It's going to be 5 minutes. You can hear Kasparaitis saying, why 5? And that means Kovalchuk could be tossed. Hits to the head are really frowned upon under the IIHF rules, and that is a blow to the head. It looked like a right elbow from that last replay. And Kubina, who's had a tournament where he was great, but he had a rough night the other night, -4 against Sweden, and Kovalchuk's been tossed. Take one more look at this thing. There's Kovalchuk, who had played well and at times nasty, took a shot, and a free shot, bang, right into the kisser of Kubina. Now, I'm not sure what part of the arm made contact or if the elbow came up later, but it certainly caught Kubina on the side of the face or in the front of the face.
A boarding major and a game misconduct. And so a long power play for the Czech Republic in 9 seconds.
Obvious distress there to Kubina. And you can see it's to the mouth. He's been cut around the mouth.
This is the last game both of these teams play in the tournament, of course. But not the last game any of these players will play this year. Some in their own league, most in the NHL. You could understand why the Tampa Bay Lightning would be concerned now about the condition of their defensemen. Long power play. 4.5 of a long kill for the Russians. Ruchinsky gaining the zone. Pivots away from Tootin. Knocked away from Zidlitsky and brought on by Malkin. Save made by Vokun. Kovalev drops back, taken over by Ruchinsky. Malkin with a short-handed breakaway, right back ahead. Zidlitsky had some trouble the other day being victimized back near the blue line, but this time while his team was on the power play.
Kubina makes that long walk to the Czech locker room to be checked out by the doctors. How about the play where Malkin picked off the Ruchinsky pass as he turned to feed the puck back? And there goes Malkin, and he takes off. And again, Vokun moves out and didn't have to move much, right above the goal crease, and kicked aside the shot. Malkin's skill level, when he makes plays like that, it defies his age.
Olesh played some catch with Kodolik, gives it back to him. Back to Olesh again. They have Spacek on the near side, inside the box, Prospal. Laid to the back now. Kodolik a shot and a save made by Nabokov. Viktor Kozlov tries to work it along, cannot. But then it's helped back out again by Alexei Yashin, who comes to the bench for a change.
You've got Kovalchuk tossed. You've got Ovechkin with a bad wrist. But will Ovechkin be able to get more ice time with one of the other star forwards gone to find offense? And remember, too, Datsuk, we've mentioned it many times. He has the problem with a fractured pinky. Here we go.
He took that one away and tried to outlet a pass ahead for Shashinsky, who steps into Hayduk. Brought back ahead by Kodolik, gaining the zone and passing it in deep. But around it came now for Wisniewski. Tried to play further. Kodolik got it onto Prospal with Hayduk in front. Prospal a backhander. Stop, rebound. Oh, and that went off of Nabokov, who had dove down and didn't know where it was coming from. To the outside it goes now for a play to be made by Hayduk. Sent across, Kuba's shot, and that knocked down by the defense. Angled back out, Shushinsky will step up short-handed. Shushinsky trying to get by Kodolik, no luck there, and then the two of them cancel. 2:40 to go on the penalty kill for the Russians as Jagr gains the zone. Worked on a bit by Kasparaitis. To the back it comes to Philip Kuba. Back on to Jagr once more. Vaborny at the front of the net, standing in front of Nabokov, defended by Gonchar, as that one floated by and came near Ales Hemsky. Oh, and jolted a bit was Jagr by Kasparaitis. Back on to Jagr once more. Then to the back, Kuba. 2:15 to go. Jagr walks in, shooting, and that one blocked down by Kasparaitis. Kasparaitis shaken up a bit, but still is in the play out there, as twisting away now Thomas Kaberle. 4 shots on this long power play so far for the Czech Republic. It's under 2 minutes now, so it amounts to a minor, even though on the major you can score at will. Czech Republic has not done that yet. Knifed away from Lang, topped on by Kasparaitis, gotten by Jagr to the back. Drives, Zidlitsky scores!
What a shot by Zidlitsky on a gorgeous pass across, through traffic, down low, beats Nabokov. And the Kovalchuk major penalty, the Czechs make them pay with their second goal. And it's now 2-zip. There's Nabokov, couldn't fire the puck high off the glass or boards. And the Jagr pass was beautiful right across, through 3 different sets of legs and in the net. Jagr was on the ice the whole time. And what he does is he conserves energy during a power play if he doesn't have the puck. Therefore, he can stay out longer. Kasparaitis had tried to move the puck. The puck was bouncing. He couldn't get it all. And Zidlitsky with a great shot. 2-0 Czech Republic on the power play.
A Nashville night so far. Erad in the first, Zidlitsky here in the second, and the power play continues with 1:45 left on the major. Malkin wins, lobbed on by Bolchenkov. Settled down by Zidlitsky. bronze medal game sees Ruchinski bring it ahead. Ruchinski gets the pass to Marty Straka, looks over the traffic. Zidlitsky a shot, and that one ricocheted off a man in front who's limping around out there. That is Wisniewski. Meanwhile, it's jammed up against the wall, coming by a Straka. Chopped on further, but held by Zidlitsky. Knocked away by Malkin again. Trying to victimize Zidlitsky, but he's able to finesse away and hand it back across. It is Straka protecting. Wanted Prospel, but instead got Teuton. Off Zidlitsky, then off Kovalev. 1 minute left on the major, just away from the reach of Malkin. That pass sailed back.
You know, Mike, we mentioned can Ovechkin find the offense. Maybe it's going to be Malkin. He's playing out there. He's fresh. He didn't play last night. But remember this, he's only 19 years of age. That's asking a lot.
This bounced across and is wheeled back in by Teuton. I should mention it was Anton Volchenkov, 6, not 5, Wisniewski, who stepped in front of that. That might not matter to some of you, but to the Los Angeles Kings and to the Ottawa Senators, it does. Telecast is not entirely for them, but there are a lot of people concerned when they see some of these collisions and some of these blocked shots. Rattled around in the last quarter minute of the 5-minute major. 2-0 in favor of the Czech Republic. Yager turning with it there. Lost up the boards now. Datsuk, and unable to step away. Shushinsky. Pogorny canceled right out by Shushinsky in a strong defensive play. Back on now to Datsuk, who plays it ahead from 1. Datsuk to the outside with the broken finger, shoved it on goal, and that's stopped by Vukun. Still they control. Kovalev's shot is blocked off. Started back ahead by the Czech Republic. A little under 11 and a half to go as Hemsky fires, and that blocked off by Nabokov. Darius Kasparaitis forces it along, and it sailed out of play into the Czech bench area.
Oh, some pretty good action as Datsuk carried the puck deep into the Czech zone. He's a very difficult man to body check because he can make those moves right, left in a hurry. Now he used his left leg there to shield the stick, cut to the net, and Vokun went down and make sure he took away the lower portion of the net. A good save, real good save again by Vokun. Not a hard-looking one when you see it, but for the goaltender, you don't know if he's going to go behind the net or come right out in front.
Full strength action. Gonchar there. Crisply onto a Finneganov. Racing ahead. Able to turn by Hemsky, but the play went offside. You had mentioned Darius Kasparaitis came from Lithuania, grew up there. That must have been interesting because at that time it was the old Soviet Union. And
yeah, he tells a story about, I said, Darius, you're a terrific player. You can do something. How come you don't shoot the puck well? He said, well, we only had one puck and they wouldn't let me shoot it till I was 14. And the reason was because if I made a bad shot, the puck went down the lake, we'd lose the puck. We only had one. He's a piece of work, Mike.
Bulis a shot, and that one caught and held by Nabokov. He was a member of a team that in 1992 won the gold medal. Viktor Tikhonov was the coach, and among the players on the defense were Darius Kasparaitis, Dmitry Yushkevich, Vladimir Malakov, Alexei Zhitnik, Sergei Zubov, Igor Kravchuk. All of them not too long after that wound up in the NHL. My goodness, what a hit that was.
And they were called the unified team.
Their forwards weren't bad, and neither were their goalies. 14 of them to the NHL right after. Ovechkin tried to get to the front, and that one knifed away by Alesh Kotelik in a strong play for the Czech defense. Tries to run a man off. That doesn't work, so it's Malkin circling around behind, fed it to the back, and we get a penalty coming up as Prospel is down on all fours.
And the Russians are taking bad penalties here. Kovalchuk took the one in the offensive zone, hitting Kubina, the defenseman. And here Prospel, or is it? Well, it's Kovalov, I think, is going to the bench, to the penalty box. And Prospel was a player down on his knees, and Kovalov not happy with the Swedish referee, Thomas Andersson, is to the left side of the goal net. There's Kovalov. Yeah, he reached out to hold up Prospel as Prospel was trying to catch the Russian player with the puck. And Kovalov got caught with a stick up too high, and it's a 2-minute minor. And when you see the replay, I think the Swedish referee was right.
Zidlitsky takes over for another power play for the Czech Republic. Ruchinski moves back in, lost it though. Pavel Datsuk has a man ahead. Shushinsky stepping on. Maxim Shushinsky holds up in traffic and then banks it back to Teuton. Datsuk right back across. Volchenkov brings it ahead. Anton Volchenkov of the Ottawa Senators, who blocked the shot earlier, was flexing his leg but seems fine now. Jágr takes over there. Jaromir Jágr with a pass that skipped ahead for Rudzinski. Tries to step by Teuton, the two of them teammates in New York. 5 players, and eventually the 5th one, Gonchar, freed it up. Tomas Kaberle angles it around. Jágr able to settle it down at the half boards. Straka back to Jágr. Across for the shot by Zidlitsky that ricocheted off Viktor Kozlov.
Has he got a shot or what? Zidlitsky not afraid to give it back to his goaltender either.
Okun swirls it around with 50 to go. Zidlitsky able to filter it on through. Drifting off is Tomas Kaberle. Rattled it around behind Kasparaitis territory there. Only one puck on this ice. It's brought ahead now by Kozlov. Viktor Kozlov crosses. And then a shot by Yashin is deflected up over the net and can be played now and outletted by Kuba.
And Danny Markov, the defenseman, now getting help at the bench, having a hand worked on by the training staff.
Here's Prospel swooping in. Prospel, a shot deflected away by Sergei Zhukov. Swept back in. Robert Lang to the outside. Sent on back, but off his stick. Prospel tried to connect to him. Zhukov stood in his way. Lang twisted one in front, knifed away by Kasparaitis. Penalty time is up. Brought back in, and trouble occurred there as Teratukin tried to get by.
And Mike, the friends we have in tape downstairs have told me that the penalty to Kovalov wasn't Kovalov. It was Malik's stick, who was the teammate of Prospel, that went into the face of Prospel. It was not Alexei Kovalov, so the referee saw something that he really didn't see. Now down low, there's Kovalov, 27 red, and there's the stick of Malik that caught Prospel. Kovalov's stick never went above the waist. So at least the Russians didn't give up a power play goal, and Prospel's all right. We move forward.
Good grab by them downstairs as Malkin will be in to take this face-off. Shots are 6-5 Czech Republic here in the second period of a 2-0 game for the bronze medal. Marek Malik lobbed it back in. Olesh wipes out as he goes into the corner with Andrei Markov. Reaching in, Danny Markov tried to free, got back up the boards with it, and it is just poked back out.
There's some talent on this line for Russia. Kovalov, Ovechkin, and Malkin as the Czechs ice the puck. So you see, oh, now they're going to make a quick change. The Russian coaching staff, a real quick change. Now, this is some line if they get it going.
Let's hear from Joe Micheletti.
Okay, Doc, you're talking about Paul Dvorsky being the referee for tomorrow's gold medal game. I just spoke to him. You know when he found out? 1:30 in the morning last night. He had gone to bed at 10:30. When they finally made the decision, they left a note in his mailbox at the hotel. And Tony Saracola, who's one of the real good NHL linesmen, worked the late game last night. He came back, saw the note in Paul Dvorsky's mailbox, called him, woke him up at 1:30 to tell him, and then he couldn't get back to sleep until 4:30 and said, you know what? He said, I probably won't sleep tonight either.
Yeah, you're supposed to be well rested for this, right?
Oh, that's a thrill. That's his profession.
Yeah.
No, that's that in a 7th game of a Stanley Cup final, Olympic gold medal game. Bill McCurry, as we mentioned, did it in Salt Lake City and did a great job, and I'm sure Paul Dvorsky will too.
Canadian-born, lives in Hummelstown, Pennsylvania, near Harrisburg and Hershey. Centrally located, he feels it's a good place to not only live, but also it's centrally located for his travel around the league. Healthy hit across the way. This is sped back ahead by Zidlitsky. Walks it on, Czech Republic ahead, drive, and that went off of Fedor Teuton. Yashin took care of his man. Zidlitsky with another try, and Yashin canceled that one out. Fed back to the point and kept alive once more for an attack by the Czech Republic. Knifed down by Yashin. 3 good defensive plays by the Islanders' Alexei Yashin. Tipped back away from Karatanov, and retreating is Fedor Teuton. 6.5 to go in the second period. As of right now, 2-0 Czech Republic ahead. Here is a Afinogenov moving, shooting one that's deflected high into the mesh.
There used to be a guy who played football by the name of Crazy Legs, right? Well, this Afinogenov, when I see him skate, he has what you term either light feet or fast feet, and it's just crazy legs, and you can't get a feel for which side he's going to go to. That's how fast he is. However, he could not register the shot. Look at his feet. Quick feet. Left, right, back, forwards. He's an exciting player with a puck.
It is Datsuk out there right now along with Ovechkin. And some more talent out there in Shushinsky as the puck is iced. Gold medal game is tomorrow. Sweden against Finland. Bronze medal game right now. Jaromir Jagr. 68 on the back of his uniform. Russian and Czech teams used to be mortal enemies in the 60s and 70s. And of course, older members of the Czech community who are watching this may have said, well, hasn't that gone away? Well, I think the hockey world has changed, at least in terms of these two countries. There are Czech coaches coaching in Russia, coaches coaching in the Czech Republic. Players from each country have gone to the other to play professionally. So maybe that old anger and fire is not there as it had been at one time, but time has passed. Jagr adopted that number 68 because that was the year of the Russian invasion. As a school boy in what was then known as Czechoslovakia, used to carry a picture of Ronald Reagan, the U.S. president, in his textbook.
You know what, Mike, when you say all those things about people getting to know each other and like each other in the world of hockey, maybe tells us all that the world of hockey is good for the world.
You're right. We've had a good chance to see that in both the men's and the women's tournaments here. It has been a fun time for us, and it's not over yet, trying to tow that one up and get further, but failing. That time was Igor Naprayev. Anyway, around behind, they still are trying to control the Russians. Karatanov couldn't get it to the front, chopped on back, and it'll be chased down, and perhaps the puck will get to the line first for an icing, but no, that's not the case. Vishnevsky lifted it ahead. Cut off by Vinny Prospel, dealt back further Viktor Kozlov. Up the wing now, Naprayev a shot, guided aside by Vokun and taken by Bulis.
Vokun keeps this up, and he's played really well, really well. There's a lot of people out there, hindsight-wise, going to say, why on earth did he not start last night in the game? Right?
Yes.
He's a world-class goaltender, but he did struggle earlier in the tournament.
Some of the people that said that are wearing headsets. Kovalev moves after that. Spacek drops it on further. Good close off by Malkin.
Jaromir Jagr headed to the locker room. It's 4 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the period. I don't know what the reason is.
Rushed back in by Ovechkin. The chanting begins again. Russians trailing the Czechs 2-0 for the bronze medal. Olish's shot! Oh, and barreling into his goalkeeper, but helping seal it up inadvertently that time as the man who was just now getting up, Danny Markov.
Everybody seems to be okay. What's interesting there was a whistle real quick by the official. If Markov had the puck under him with inside that goal crease, that could have led to a penalty shot. Here's the play along the boards. Chipped in, and watch Markov back right in, and the puck was loose inside the goal crease for a few seconds. The official with a quick whistle.
We've had the same number of shots on goal as shots blocked this period. If you combine the two teams, 12 shots have gone on goal and 12 have been blocked. A lot of power play time for the Czech Republic this period because of a major penalty and ejection to Ilya Kovalchuk. 5 against 5 right now. A little over 3.5 to go in the second period. Yashin able to gain the zone, but offside is called.
The Czechs are 5 men back now. You know, over the years, the Russians like to use stretch plays. Find that 2-on-1, find the breakaway, but not right now, as Alois Hadamchek's team is sitting right back all along the blue line, and they're trying to take that play that the Russians use so well, take it away. We haven't seen much of Ovechkin, Mike.
No. And looking at some of the tape that we've seen at the bench this period, you can understand why. Yet on the other hand, I mean, he has such tremendous skill that they lack that right now. They're not getting much of an attack going. This was the same thing that happened yesterday when the Russians were playing Finland. Couldn't generate a whole lot because of a defensive scheme that just took care of them. They just didn't get much confidence generated in a 4-0 loss. Lang with a pass that is carried right back in deep by Martin Erad. Scorer of the first goal in this game. Marek Zidlitsky has gotten the other in a 2-0 Czech Republic lead. Reaching was Kasparaitis. It was poked away from him, but swatted right back behind for Robert Lang. 4-time Olympian for the Czech Republic. Lang lifted it further. In some traffic, it's fed to Malik for a drive that is just waffle-boarded away by Nabokov. Favorny has trouble with the shove there from Sergei Gonchar. Alish Hemsky chased off. Stepping by, though, is Ruchinski with a shot that's blocked aside by Nabokov. Looks as though it's a power play right now. This is the period of the long change, the second period, and the Russians would like to get some of their players off. Karatanov drops back, cleared, not out. Drive by Spacek, slowed down in front by Gonchar, but they can't clear. Hemsky again, bounces one on that is lost by Ruchinski, gotten back by Hemsky, put it off the stick of Marty Straka. Then along it comes to Karatanov, who just wheeled it out. It's back in, a delayed offside is wiped, no matter. It is iced. Why not? Pierre.
Well, you know, one of the things you guys have to pay attention to, John just alluded to it, the way the Czechs are playing in the neutral zone. And here's an example. You see one white sweater up, forcing the play. That's Irat. You only see the 4 sweaters right now along the line. Robert Lang being the next guy to step up and funnel the puck. That's a system they perfected in the 1998 Olympics under the late Ivan Holinka. It got him a gold medal.
Winning that championship game from the Russians 1-0. Malkin brings it ahead. He's got Ovechkin breaking. Got it near him. He's taken out of the play and thumped to the boards by Hayduk. Slow to get up, but he's back up and in the play. Tried to get away from Zidlicky. And then a shove by the shoulder of Ovechkin.
Penalty. Penalty upcoming. And it's the big line on the ice for Russia with Kovalov, Malkin, and Ovechkin. And this is the line that has to find some offense for this hockey club. This is Ovechkin, and Hayduk, who's a fine player offensively and defensively, will come back right there as a forward and pick up Ovechkin and take him away from the Czech net. And then as the play moved along the boards, Zidlicky, number 3, there lost a stick on the play with Malkin. And then there, basically put the headlock into one of the players, and he's in the penalty box again for the Czechs.
Malkin, Kovalev, and Ovechkin up front. They have Fedor Tutanen back on one side as Ovechkin goes to work. Russians need to cut the lead in half here. Only 1:23 to go in the period. Peeling in that time was Andrei Markov, but has to get control. At the front is Ovechkin. Worked on pretty well by Philip Kuba. To the outside, it is played back on by Kovalev. Kovalev moves inside as this one is tipped back out over the line and eventually grabbed off by Fedor Tutanen. Laid back on now by Ovechkin. Lays it across past Kovalev, drilled back in by Malkin. Kokun allows it to go to Kuba's side. And it's kept alive by Tutanen. Twisted back on, but it kicked off of Kuba. And he's able to see it taken by Thomas Caberlet, who is able to worm his way around behind as we're down to the last 42 seconds of the period. Rifled back down by Caberlet, and he comes to the bench for a change.
And Mike, remember, the Czechs do not have Kubina, the big defenseman, who's usually a very good penalty killer. He's gone with the head injury, and Yager, even though he doesn't kill penalties, he hasn't come back either.
Kovalev tried to shake one in front. It came right back to him again. Alex Kovalev trying to step by. A little bit of a moving pick set up there by Karatanov. And then the pass in front. Oh, and he skied the shot. Popped up in the air and then knifed on back near Karatanov again. Oh, and what a hit on Spacek, probably out of anger. Why not? Good opportunity that time. We're down to the last 6 of the period. Malkin holds, tries to shake free. Gets loose. Horn sounds.
Oh, some wonderful puck handling by Malkin, only the problem was the period expired. Karatanov, 21 red, was right in front of the net. Now he's over on the far side, far right. Now he's sneaking to the net. Here comes the puck. Oh, it hit the goalpost crossbar, Mike. How close was that for the Russians? They needed one to get on the board, and he couldn't quite finish. Still 29 seconds to go for the Russians on their power play, as you see Karatanov at the bench. Probably can't believe he didn't score. And there's 2 other players sitting there, too. One of them's Ovechkin and Malkin. The 3 of them are just sitting there. They don't want to leave.
They'll leave eventually. So will we. Jim, Bill, and Ray will be along. We'll have interviews, too. 2-0 Czechs at the end of 2.
The 20th Olympic Winter Games.
2-0 the score. The Czech Republic has the lead going into the 3rd period of this one. You mentioned Alexander Ovechkin having trouble with his skates, still getting them tended to here. but he has been shotless through the first 2 periods.
And to see him be shotless, that's really a remarkable story because of all the skill that he has. But he's one of those players who can explode at any time. And for the Czech Republic, Jaromír Jágr has not returned for the 3rd period, I think, and have been told it appears to be a groin problem. He has had those in the past, and he has to be careful with them. So I've been told it's not serious, and it's probably very smart of him if it's bothering him at all. And remember, this is 8 games and 11 nights, asking too much of these people. He's taking a rest.
Ovechkin a shot, and that one came in on goal. Vokoun stopped it. And the puck sent up over the glass, but it was sent by a non-goaltender. For that reason, everyone's yelling because they're NHL guys that there should be a penalty, but there's none in the Olympics. That's what's being explained.
And Ovechkin's having it explained to him right now. How about the play? Malkin moves across here, the puck to Ovechkin, and a shot through a screen. A good shot, a good save after a great pass by Malkin. This Malkin kid is the best player on the ice for the Russians, Pierre.
John, doesn't he remind you a lot of a Ron Francis type player with better finishing ability? I mean, Ron Francis, a Hall of Fame player. This guy's special.
I think I really like Malkin's speed too. I mean, this kid, he goes back down low. He wants the puck right now. See if he gets it, but he can dangle. He's got speed. He's got passing skills, and he doesn't make the obvious pass. And here we have a penalty. Now everybody's trying to figure out who it is. It might be Malkin taking the penalty. Here's some of the work that Malkin's been involved with. That was a deflection on goal, and he drew some attention there. Look at the speed here as he drives to the net. Good save by Vokoun on him. And here he tries to work around Zidličky. Couldn't quite finish. And then here he works along the boards with a body check. There's a beautiful pass in front, but a good back check job by Hayduk. Now Malkin's in the penalty box as he there took Malik out of the play, and that's a soft call.
Gosh.
That's a real soft call.
That was just a bump.
Yeah.
Well,
Malik, I think, had played the puck, and he was bumped by Malkin, and Malkin looked around and said, what'd I do? And he may have a valid point. What did he do?
curious call. It's not unusual in the Olympics when you have officials converging from many nations. A different set of rules, slightly different than what some of them are used to. There have been some changes brought about, the influence of the National Hockey League's new rules. But at any rate, it is spot check ahead. Hard around by the Czech Republic, leading in the game 2-0. And a long toss goes all the way down from Darius Kasparaitis as he tried to connect with Szczynski.
Mike, we're seeing a lot of that. When the Russians are shorthanded, they want the breakaway. They will fly it forward as soon as the Russian defensemen get the puck. They've tried it 4 or 5 times in this game.
Good crunch on Kodelik. Fired around and Philip Kuba couldn't stop it.
And Ovechkin again at the bench was having a skate worked on. This time I think it's his right skate. Earlier it was his left.
The Czech Republic has been strong in this game. They scored early. They got another one to make it 2-0. And this is a team that lost its goaltender in the first game. Lost one of its hot wingers in Patrick Elias after one game against the Germans as well. Peter Chayanek could not play in this one. Pavel Kubina and Jaromír Jágr have not returned.
I'm worried about Kubina. Jágr has a groin injury. Kubina has a head injury. And it looked like it could be, for him not to finish, and he's a big, tough kid, you worry about whether it's a jaw injury or a concussion type of thing. He got jarred hard by the hit and the elbow, or what appeared to be an elbow from Kovalchuk. Kovalchuk was tossed, and I hope Kubina's all right. He means a lot to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Played ahead by Thomas Kaberle. That floated back down, and the Russians have all but 5 seconds of a completed kill. Walked back on by Ales Hemsky. Gave it across. Nice turn and take by Jan Bulis. Needed the boards for help. Left behind, though, by Martin Straka. Scaled back off. So the Russians have killed that one off. They trail in the game 2-0. Nearly 3 minutes gone in the third period. The Czechs got no shots on their last 3 power plays. That one is tipped up into the mesh. And again, play halted here. But the Russians have at least dodged that much and still are within striking distance.
Now, Ovechkin was on the bench. The skates that he has, earlier it was his left skate. This time it's his right skate. And they're trying to find a way to solidify and keep the skate blade attached to the boot. They're using tape there. Now, remember earlier in the tournament, Pierre Maguire was talking about Ovechkin makes such sharp stops and turns and goes. He's actually blowing the skate blade off the boot. And here it's driving him. Both of them are driving him absolutely nuts here. Almost every time at the bench he's getting something repaired.
Those are not the skates he normally wears when he plays for the Washington Capitals.
Not the blades, I don't think. I don't remember him wearing those fancy schmancy red blades. Pierre.
Those are brand new skates, and he got them because he blew his boots up on his last NHL pair, so he's going to be wearing these when he goes back to the NHL. But these are specially made for the Olympics because he blew up his last pair of skates when he stopped to drive to the net in a play just before he came to the Olympics.
Here comes Alex Kovalev, captain of the Russian team. Kovalev scored the last of the goals that the Russian team got, and that was over 103 minutes of playing time ago. They were shut out by Finland yesterday 4-0. Finland will play Sweden tomorrow for the gold medal. Drive by Malkin is saved by Vokoun, and he decides to cover.
Good play out of the corner as the big line is still together. That's Malkin, Kovalov, and Ovechkin. And finally they get something from the middle of the ice. Work along the boards. You see all three red jerseys over there. Now there's a release, and there's the shot by Malkin. Gosh, is he a good hockey player. 19 years of age, drafted to the Pittsburgh Penguins, #2 overall in 2004, and a lot of people hoping he can play for the Penguins next season. He does have a contract that has another season to run on it, but there's been an agreement from what I hear that he can leave. Now, that will be, I think, to be determined maybe on both sides. By the way, tomorrow, Mike, you mentioned the game for the gold. And Joe Micheletti had a chance to watch both teams practice today. Joe, what'd you see?
JD, I saw big eyes. You know, I mean, when I talked to a number of players from both teams, and when we start talking about the game tomorrow, you should have seen their eyes. I mean, you talk about two teams that are highly confident and highly ready, and just maybe Teemu Selanne put it the best when he said, you know, as a kid, I grew up playing on outdoor rinks, and we were on the rinks. We would pretend that this was the gold medal game against Sweden. I think that says it all.
Yeah, and he made his brother be the goaltender too, by the way.
Finland has never been there before. Sweden not since 1994 when they won from Canada in a shootout. There has not been a shootout or an overtime game played in the men's Olympic competition since that time. Hemsky's pass kicked back out. And we get a halt to play. Skidding down to the ice is Ovechkin. And we have too many men against which team did you notice?
Against the Czechs, Mike. The linesman over there on the far side of the ice called it. There were two Czechs that jumped on the ice, and then they raced back to the bench, and the Hawkeye linesman caught him. And the Czechs will be shorthanded because of a change. They don't allow changes here where you cheat a little bit. Really get on the ice early before the man gets off. If that's what's going on, yes it is. As one of the Czech players, Hemsky, has now gone to the box.
Important power play for the Russians, an understatement. Shushinsky shoves it on back. It's played across by Fedor Tutin. Walked on now by Andrei Markov, given across for Karatanov, who brings it in. Karatanov twisted it ahead, tried to get it to Shushinsky, but it just flopped back out again. Pavel Datsyuk is out there, takes this pass for Russia. Datsyuk nudged it on, Shushinsky gaining the zone. Shushinsky crossed, Datsyuk fed one across, a shot, oh, and it was over the glove hand of Vokoun against the glass from Andrei Markov. Now Tutin lost it, and Vaborny is able to clear it back down and come to the bench for a change. Good opportunity there for the Russians. 1:20 to go as of right now on their power play. Karatanov is nudged off. Meanwhile, it is lost by Shushinsky, but he recovers just away from the reach of Marty Straka to get it back defensively, so now they can start it back. Datsyuk left it behind, regained, got the zone. Little pass over to Ovechkin, fresh from the bench. Played it off the linesman's skates back to the point. Played back along by Datsyuk, and here's Ovechkin walking in. Fed one off the goaltender, Vokoun, rebound clear to the half boards. Moving back in as Markov taken away by Datsyuk. Scaled around to Ovechkin again, challenged by Zidlitsky. Ovechkin back to the point. Andrei Markov gave it right back to him. Alexander Ovechkin threw one that Zidlitsky got and flung back down the ice. 38 left on the kill for the Czech Republic. They lead in this bronze medal game 2-0. Clock ticking down to the last 13:30 of the third period. Alex Kovalev nicely gets by one. Looks over the traffic. Forehander is spiked to the glass by Malkin. Forced to the front, and Vokoun able to get his glove down on it and stop play.
Vokun again. Sharp. Not wasting energy. Not panicking. Good position. Calmly stops and hangs on to the puck again as the Russians desperately try to get something going here. Kovalov gains his zone. Got to find somebody open. Shot deflected. Now it's in front. There's Vokun. I mean, just sometimes you get amazed at the calmness of these people.
Ovechkin with a shot, and that ricocheted off the defense, played back along by Vaborny. Malik hustling after that one with Kasparaitis. Malik's long reach canceled out the reach of Kasparaitis, and dropping on back to play it is Gonchar as penalty time is up. 3 shots on goal for the Russians during that power play, and the puck deflected up out of play. Third period shots are 6-1 Russia.
How about that? See, Jaromir Jagr right there is reaching down to the inside of his left thigh, and I think he's been treated. And I wonder, is he going to say he's reaching there? See that, Mike? It's the left side, the left groin now. He's at the end of the bench. It's on the forward side, which is a good thing, towards center ice. Will he play? That's the interesting call. He didn't play a lot in the first period because their team was in the penalty kill mold.
Robert Lang around behind. Does the 2-0 lead change any of that?
Yeah, it could. I just don't think he'll take a chance. Maybe he wants to be there to support his teammates. I'm not 100% sure. We'll keep an eye on it.
Afinogenov trying to get by, and that swept back out. Fedor Tutin taking over there. Avoided one challenge, but played one that ricocheted on back further off Viktor Kozlov. Cranked back in by Volchenkov. Stopped behind by Tomas Vokun. There was a form to regain, and he has. Shots on goal in the game, 22-14 Russia. Vokun perfect in goal. Afinogenov hands it across. Wisniewski with a little pass that has to be carried on back further. Circling back was Taratukin. Tripped up on the play. Nagayev, meanwhile, right back in for a forehand shot that went wide was Afinogenov. And it's chased back down by Sergei Zhukov on defense. Glides back ahead. Another change in lines for the Russian Federation. Lobbed on back, Zidlitsky. Straka lifted back out. Carefully played by Hayduk, but then he's forced back in. And offside is called. 11 and a half to go in the third period.
Well, you sense the Russians are getting it going a little bit. A little bit of energy. They know that they're running out of time. Jagr has moved down the bench. Boy, the Russians, Kovalchuk taking the major penalty really hurt their lineup. It gives them basically the one really good offensive line, and they're on the ice right now.
Boy, Malkin with a great face-off win just could not dance through and get a good chance on goal. He's out there with Ovechkin and Kovalev right now. Flown on back near Danny Markov, poked right back ahead. Kovalev turns, but it's knocked off his stick by Jan Bulis. Andrei Markov bringing it ahead for Russia. Knocked away again. Good defensive play by Marek Malik. And another change in lines by the Czech Republic. Defense first for them. They have the 2-goal lead. Rushing ahead, Karatanov got by, tripped up on the play. A penalty coming up against the Czech Republic again.
Well, that'll give them another chance. As you see the tripping call, good move here, right to the inside, and it was a leg-on-leg more than anything else, and that's why Karatanov was knocked down there, leg-on-leg. What a great move that was, outside, inside. And now the Russians go to work again on the power play. And Kovalov's going to play the point here. The first time we've seen that. Tutin has played a lot of the point on the power play. He's a very young player. He was playing with Gonchar. Now it's Kovalov back there. So a subtle adjustment by this Russian team.
Shushinsky and Karatanov out there with Datsuk. Datsuk will play at the half boards. Shushinsky tries to escape Philip Kuba. Able to get it back to Datsuk, and a shot is knocked down and right back to him off the defense, but then played back out. Thomas Kaberle with a good defensive play. Moving ahead, Rushinsky a shot, and that carefully held and then lost by Nabokov, but he paddled away to teammates. Brought back ahead by Russia. Carried on by Alex Kovalev. Steps in, but a couple of players were in ahead of him and an offside call.
Now you could say, what is Kovalov doing making the move at the blue line? It forces the offside, but give the Czechs credit. They didn't back up. They held the blue line, forcing Kovalov to try to do something. And now Kovalov goes to the bench. The Russians, you see their quick changes. That's because the fuel tank is on empty almost. There he picks up the puck, and at the blue line you can see where the Czech players were forcing him into a move and the offside.
Yashin shoves his man. Crashing in also was a Finneganov. Viktor Kozlov out there as the other forward. Zidliski fired it. Fedor Tutin hustled to keep it alive. Turned back on now for Kozlov. Worked it back in for a pass in front by Yashin that clipped off the defense and is dug out by a Finneganov. Halfway through the power play. Back to Gonchar. Lost it over the line. Brought it back in offside.
56 seconds to go as again the Russians make another change, Mike. Man, are they quick here? Kovalov started the power play, went off at the last whistle. Now he comes back on the ice, and it looks like he's going to play forward with the big line. Markov and Markov are the two defensemen, so it's the big line for the last minute or 56 seconds of this Russian power play.
That's Malkin and Ovechkin, the other forwards. Kovalev played it back in, and once again it's canceled out on an offside. 9:32 to go in the third period. The Russians down by 2, and they have been presented with some good power play opportunities here.
And this Russian team, you talked, or we did prior to the game here tonight, as to what happened last night. They said they weren't there mentally. And when you see the amount of offsides that are going on here right now, they're not there mentally. Again.
Finns were, the Swedes were against the Czech Republic. That's why they're going for the gold medal. A collision there. Ovechkin moving back in. Backhander! Hit off Okun in the outside of the cage. Ovechkin turning with it once more for the Russians. Hands back onto Kovalev. Gives to the back. Sent side of the net. Malkin there. Malkin pulls but lost it. Help came though. Fed back to Kovalev again. 18 left on the power play. Rifles it back across. It is Andrei Markov shooting, and that blocked down and then hacked high by Straka.
What a play defensively by Kuba of the Minnesota Wild. Great play on Ovechkin, or pardon me, Malkin. Malkin looked like he had a beat on the play, but he got his stick on the puck.
Kovalev turns back. Another penalty has expired. Kovalev able to shake through a couple. Shuffleboards it ahead. It's knifed away from Ovechkin, who has to drop back, and then he comes to the bench to get a breather. One shot on that power play. Over 110 empty minutes for the Russians in scoring goals. Shushinsky shoved off. Zidliski fires it around. Czech Republic with only one shot. They don't care. Shushinsky fed one in front. A shot is fought off by Vokun from Datsuk. Robert Lang had it taken away by Datsuk. Right back they come again. Shushinsky gains the zone, wanting to get by Spacek. Slams on the brakes and points it. Gonchar shooting, and that went wide of Datsuk in the cage. Drive, and that into the catching glove of Okun from Tutin.
The Russians are trying, Mike. They're reaching down and they're trying, and Vokun is making some key saves. Malkin was hit. That's Ovechkin. That shot hit the side of the net. They kept the play going. And then here's you're going to see Malkin. Now watch Kuba's down, swings around with a stick. That's a set play and a great play by him, knowing that's the only way he could have gotten to the puck.
Viktor Kozlov to the back. Volchenkov a shot, and somehow or other, Vokun got it with his pad. Fought off by Volchenkov, lifted in by Kozlov. Vokun steps out, closed off Yashin. Meanwhile, it's back on near Kozlov, shoved off by Malik. Kept alive, though, and controlled by Tutin. Drive! Oh, deflected in front by Yashin. A piece of it came to Vokun. Fed in front again. Drive by Volchenkov. Sprawling play made by Jan Bulis. Across it comes now to a Finneganov. Russians on the attack. 7:20 to go. We have a stoppage of play, and a face-off is ruled.
Closed the hand on the puck and took a skate with it, so the referee could blow the play dead right there. Oh, the Russians are going hard, Mike. Datsuk was flat out robbed on his last shift, and Vokun is playing his best as the tournament has moved along here. He right now in this game is playing the best he's played. He's been awesome in this game.
He's faced a lot. 11 shots in this period. Only one at the opposite end on Nabokov. Luchinsky on to Straka. Looks ahead and the pass went by Olesh. Andrei Markov sees Straka move after it, so that's his cover. Meanwhile, thrown back past Olesh.
We have Yager, who would normally be on this line, is not there. Olesh is on it. Yager's on the bench, but he's not playing. That groin muscle that's bothering him is just too much.
Martin Ruchinski brings it ahead, shoots one that's directed wide by Andrei Markov, kept by Olesh, nearly run off by Malkin. Skips on free, trying to recover, and pressed to the boards hard was Andrei Markov, and play is stopped as Markov was shaken up.
And Mike, there's a good sign. Not that Markov is shaken up, but there's Pavel Kubina, and he took that blow to the head from Kovalchuk, and he's in the runway with his sweatsuit on, and it seems to be okay. And looking at him, he turned around and boom, he got throttled as Kovalchuk caught him up high. Now, it may have been a shoulder that made contact, and the arm that came up after made it look like an elbow. So we can't say definitively that it was an elbow, but he is there at the bench and now behind the bench to support his teammates. That is good news.
Because it could have been the hospital. Rushed on back, Darius Kasparaitis has it. He and Gonchar on defense. 26 shots to 14 Russia, but they trail in this bronze medal game 2-0. Unable to pick his way through Datsuk, but he recovered quickly. Played it back on for Karatanov, knifed away by Kuba, slugged it back off the short glass, and it bounced free to be chopped on back. And will it come out? No. Kept alive by Datsuk, who's all over the place. The skip behind, and it's Robert Lang. Lang's pass is on the money for David Viborny, brings it ahead for the Czech Republic. Good crunch on him by Gonchar. Sped back around, and Viktor Kozlov in deep for Russia. 5:45 to go in the third. 2-goal deficit for Russia. If they close it, they could force overtime. There is overtime here and a shootout if needed. Bulis moves in, shoots one that's deflected on goal, and a save made by Nabokov. Second of the period for him. Meanwhile, it's brought back ahead and carried on by Teuton. Slides a pass to a Afinoganov. Going to work on Thomas Caberlet. Breezes around behind. Backhander is held by Vokun.
Oh, it almost jammed under and through by Kozlov, who had gone to the net. And Crazy Legs makes another nice play, doesn't he? There's a Afinoganov. Stops, slows down, speeds up, wrap around, and Vokun's there waiting. And then as he falls down, the skate blade was actually on top of the puck. And Kozlov tried to jam it loose. The skate blade of the goaltender is right now on top of the puck, and it just jarred loose. The Russians are giving everything they have in the last few minutes here to try to find a goal to get their offense going. Trail by 2 with 5:19 remaining.
Important draw. Malkin to take it with Ruchinski, and Ruchinski won it. Rattled around by Caberlet. Kept alive by Markov, but then spiked from him by Robert Lang, the bouncer. Left by Olesh, carried on by Ruchinski. Watched by Andrei Markov. Help came from Kovalev, who was back. Kovalev tried to step by him. Danny Markov wanted to help, but it's brushed on back, and Kovalev has to play behind his own cage. Moves right back out in front. Alex Kovalev, whose first Olympics was in 1992 with the unified team. They won the gold medal in that one. He's hoping for bronze here, but his team is down by 2. 4:45 to go, regulation time. Malkin brings it ahead. Angled back in, but we have an icing call on the play.
Very strict. You have to get to center ice or it's an icing. And Slava Fetisov watching in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He was one of the great defensemen that ever played. Played a lot here in North America for the New Jersey Devils and has won championships at all levels, right, Mike?
Yes. In Detroit was a member of the famous Russian Five.
Oh, yeah.
2 golds and 1 silver in the Olympics. We always enjoy talking about the miracle on ice. Somehow or other he doesn't.
Well, he was running. He was also running the Russian team in Salt Lake City. This time around, the general manager is Pavel Bure.
Here is Robert Lang with Viborny. The clock, the enemy of the Russians. Puck possession, Czech Republic. They throw it behind and come to the bench for another change. Now 4 minutes to go in the bronze medal game, regulation time. It's on to Datsuk. Got it on back, Shushinsky. Trying to work his way in front, can't. Hit score! And it's played by a high stick. It will not count, and a misconduct has been given to Datsuk.
Oh, no. There's 3:53 remaining. They could check video replay as the referee has handed out a penalty to Datsuk, and I think he's the player, Mike, that knocked it in. As the puck is up and it's swatted by the, you know what, it's not only the shaft itself, but the blade was tipped up. and I think it was swatted by the tip of the toe of the blade as he knocked it over the shoulder of Vokoun, and that replay there looked like it was well above the height of the crossbar, which is the determining factor. And what a shame that Datsuk was given a penalty. And I think it's a misconduct, not a shorthanded situation. He still is one of their best players, and to see him go, that's a shame. That's a real shame. A lot of whistles from the crowd here, but that, it appeared to me as though when Datsuk swatted the puck over the shoulder of the goalkeeper, it wasn't the shaft of the stick, it was the blade, and the blade was facing upwards. So it was even higher than the shaft of the stick itself. Yes, they've reviewed it and said automatically that it's no goal. Watch the stick blade of Datsuk over on the right side. It wasn't above by all that much, but I think it was above. And then he went over and said something. There was an immediate reaction. There was a bump. That's what happened. The visor of the helmet of Datsuk bumped the elbow of the referee after he had made the signal, and that's all it took for the referee. There was contact to say 10 minutes. Datsuk is not that type of player. I mean, that was just an emotional situation. The guy's played with a broken finger. He's given his heart and soul, as he does with the Detroit Red Wings. That's a shame.
Here is a Finneganov again for Russia. 3.5 away, a bronze medal for the Czech Republic if this score doesn't change enough. Fedor Tutin goes back, another change in lines. They lost their goaltender, they lost one of their wingers. Later on in the tournament, another. They had 3 injury replacements. Chayanek couldn't play today. Yager and Kabina have gone down in the game. Yager back at the bench, Kabina as well. Meanwhile, around behind, Kubina not in uniform, however. Gliding with this is Erat, fed it to the bag. Erat and Zidlitsky, 2 Nashville Predators, have gotten the 2 goals in the game.
And you know, Mike, with those people out of the lineup for the Czechs, their team is just hunkered down defensively. Malik getting more ice time. He's played very well. Zidlitsky, Spacek, Caberlet, all the defense have had to play a lot more than normal. They played great. They know without those people that you've got to play a 5-man defensive game, and the Russians have tried to come at them. It's kind of like blood, sweat, and tears here. You hate to see a team lose. They've spilled blood. They have sweated. They have played so hard. 8 games in 11 nights. People going down all over the place. Yet the effort is really special.
Well, that won't happen in Vancouver.
I don't think so. There's already been high-level meetings, nothing determined. But the actual tournament format may change. Of course, the time difference is going to be much better playing in Vancouver. But they've got to make either scheduling changes at the NHL level or changes in the format of the tournament to make it a better situation for the players to compete and to stay healthy and to get back to the teams that they play for, both in North America and in Europe.
Well, they've put on quite a show.
Yes.
There has been some carnage in with it, which is alarming to watch. But the other side of it is, have they ever been gallant in how hard they've played? And we've seen an example here. We saw it yesterday in the semifinals. Seen a lot of examples in the early rounds, too. Gonchar a shot, and that one went off of Olesh, who dropped down to block it. And Mike Keenan, the general manager of Olesh in Florida, didn't, I'm sure, ask even why. Because he recognizes this is what you do in sacrificing for a bronze medal. You just hope that the guys don't get hurt. Forced back in now and played back along further by Ruchinski. We're down to the last minute and 8 seconds. And we will keep an eye on Nabokov. Still in the goal crease as this is dumped in. He's looking to the bench. They haven't signaled him over yet. Fedor Tutin trying to keep it in. Straka lifting. Still in the goal at the other end is Nabokov. He's out at the hash marks. Olesh hasn't chipped it out yet. Then Marek Malik is held up along the boards by Yashin. Kick to the back. It is Tutin driving one right on goal. Swept away by Vokoun. The net is empty at the other end. Chopped on out by Ruchinski. 6 attackers now for Russia. Yevgeny Malkin wheels back out for Russia, able to step by Straka. Throws it back in and goes after it with Zidlitsky. They crash the boards hard. Forced around by Kasparaitis, taken by Kozlov. 6 attackers for Russia down to the last 20. Viktor Kozlov with it. Ovechkin at the front of the net as it goes to the outside. A 2-on-1. Erat hands it over to Straka. Back to Erat. To Straka. Score! The bronze bronze is sealed for the Czech Republic, 3-0.
You know, it started with the Czechs and their defensive play. It led to the empty net goal. The Russians, Malkin, had tried so hard to make something happen, and for Vokun, he's 8 seconds away from the shutout. What could have happened maybe if he had started yesterday, who knows. For the Russians, they had a great tournament, and then they lost 2 straight as they look up and watch the replay. Some valiant efforts. You know, Mike, it's 3rd and 4th places here, but the efforts, it's just so special by these players, what they've done to provide us with something to watch. The pace hasn't been quite what it was early in the tournament, but the schedule has created that slowdown. Tomorrow it'll be 2 teams with that extra day of rest. Watch them go, the Finns and the Swedes. But these 2 teams have really given us some thrills and spills during this tournament.
Rivals from youth. International tournament experience for most of these guys. The Czech Republic celebrates. They will have medals around their necks before the evening is out. The bronze medal to the Czech Republic, a 4th place finish for Russia.
For the Czechs and the Russians, playing for 3rd place was something they didn't want, but it was there, and it's a medal. Alois Hadamček is the coach of the Czech Republic. His first Olympics as a coach, he wins bronze. For Krikanov, the coach of the Russian team, it's his last chance at the Olympics. He was hired because he gets results. He will coach their team at the World Championships in the spring in Latvia, Riga, Latvia. And that'll be his last time on the international stage. That's Pavel Kubina, heard earlier, but came back to be part of the celebration. Alexei Yashin with the Islanders. They will go home empty without a medal. But thank you to them for the thrills they gave us.
Some of the Czech players congratulating and celebrating with Kubina, and all of the aggressiveness that is necessary to play the game of hockey melts into handshakes. Many of these guys are teammates when they get back into their leagues, particularly in the NHL. Fought hard in this one, and the Czech Republic comes away with the bronze medal. Jaromir Jagr there congratulating Nabokov. San Jose congratulated by the New York Rangers. And one of the great